Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DePietro and Bob Zagami.
We got to figure out a way to get rid of that 5-second delay.
I thought I did. You know what I did? As soon as I started the second video, I put us up behind there. At least I thought I did. I said, put it up in the days, nothing there. Anyway,
Whatever.
Welcome to RVing in New England and Florida. And I don't know about you, but we had 98 degrees today with torrential rain. But it was good.
We're having an absolutely beautiful night here in New England, and you know what? Probably one of the we're coming down to. It might be too dark by 8 o'clock when this show ends to be out here, so I may have to go inside. But it's just, you know what? It's a fall. I believe that fall is the nicest time of the year, and we're nowhere officially near fall. But,
no question. Don't you have one of those small LED lights that you clamp on your computer?
Yeah, but half the time they don't work or they're too bright. So I got a couple of them, but I was thinking of that before. But we should do this. We should tell people who our sponsor is, because it's been a couple of weeks since you've been around. And
missed a couple of weeks here. Boom, boom.
So our sponsor, as it has been for quite a while, is Seacoast RVs on Route 1 in Saco, Maine. They've got crop, they've got Winnebago, they've got elevation, and they've got one of the nicest stores that you'll find anywhere. So anything that you need, that a bolt or a nut or a light bulb or a fastener or anything along those lines, stop in at Seacoast RV. Amanda, Kenny, and the whole gang will be happy to help you out.
Yeah, and not because they're our sponsor, but I stopped by a couple of times to see them when I was up there, and they had people on the lot. They were selling. They were getting PDIs ready. The store was busy. I think they're going against the grain a little bit and doing very well. Not as well as they would like, but you know, the industry remains kind of stable right now, and it probably will be for the end of the year, especially with the turmoil around the election. Until we get past the election, we're not going to know what we have in store come then.
One bit of turmoil that we did go through is this time last week you were driving back to Florida to tend to your dog, and you got 10 years out of that dog. I don't know if you have a picture of Wally, if you want to put him up there, give our fans an update as to, you did lose him. You did have to put him down. And it appears that kidney cancer in that breed of dog is a very common thing.
It is. We lost RV last year
to
the same kidney disease, and that's when we found out that it was. And he was diagnosed earlier, well, I think towards the middle of last year. And it was there, but he was at stage 2. He was doing well, had no problems. Then all of a sudden, the last month, he started not eating and slept more, and he did well till going up to Maine. Then he had a couple of good days. Then he started getting sick, and took him to an emergency ward, and they said, no, he's at end-stage kidney cancer, kidney disease.
Yep.
And they wanted to put him down up there, and there's nothing doing him, taking him back home. And lovely dog, great companion, and as you mentioned, he was usually in my lap every show.
So we want to give a big thank you to Bill Sell and Bernie for standing in at short notice.
Like what, 15 minutes I gave you?
Something like that.
Called you up and said, I can't do this show tonight.
But you know what? Let's just talk about the pet thing, because when I was up in Maine at Bailey's, I was talking with Galen about pets and RVs, and he said at least 60% of the RVers that come into Bailey's campground come in with a pet. Okay, but the more interesting statistic than that was the number of pets that are now coming in with 2 or more dogs per RV. And I'm not talking dogs your size dog. I'm talking dogs that are 70 or 80 pounds.
Yep.
Wondering if our audience travels with, number one, audience members, do you travel with dogs? Number two, do you travel, what breed do you travel with? And how many do you travel with?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Right. How many dogs? What breed? And how big they are.
yeah. And we should tell people that Rebecca Goodell just joined us, and you know who she is. We don't know who she is, but why don't you tell this audience who she is, because she's got a very interesting business that we're talking about in our other show.
I did an interview with her just the other day for the Camp Report show that'll be out tomorrow. Becky is the CEO of Lackford RV Rentals in Bozeman, Montana, and Las Vegas, and October 1st opening up in Phoenix. We call it kind of a boutique RV rental firm, all top notch RVs, mostly Winnebagos, some Ford Quantums. We had a great conversation about her career, and she's been the CEO now for almost a year and has got some great plans. And if you slide down a little bit more, you see David Greenberg, who is also there, and he's probably on the other side of the room from Becky because that's her husband. So we've got some great conversations about the RV industry and what they might be able to do in it, and we look forward to it. And it was Sandy Ellingson, our guest tonight, who introduced me to David and Becky.
And you know what, Bob? We say this over and over and over again, but the RV community is such a large community. But, you know, the good part is everybody knows everybody. The bad part is everybody knows everybody. So, you know, and when you go to Elkhart, you see people that used to work at one company that are now working at another company. Yep. And ones that worked at another company are now working at company A. And
it is indeed a very incestuous industry. No question. Let me see who else we got here. Maria is on tonight. Is she still down in South Carolina, or where was she? South Carolina, I think. Maybe she's back in New Hampshire.
I know. But she says, I remember camping one time, and there was a couple that had 3 Great Danes. I don't know about having 3 Great Danes in a Class C. I think you'd have to have a really big, what do you call it, toy hauler.
Yes, I'd have a toy hauler with a kennel in the back. And for Becky and David, you'll notice that in Maria's first comment up there at 7:06, our fans are so dedicated that they apologize if they come into the show late.
But Bob, it goes further than that, because tonight you got an email from a regular fan who says, "Sorry, I can't make it. I'm in Elkhart for the Grand Design Rally." So,
and that's another point. They're so dedicated. So Jim Convoy, the CEO and founder of New England RV Roof, has set us aside tonight. He is out in Elkhart at the Grand Design Rally because he owns a Solitude fifth wheel. And that good-looking guy. Now, Jim is the guy on the left.
The ugly one.
You know, he's getting ready to go to the bar. The guy to his left.
Hold on. Look closely in that picture. It looks like Jim has been to the bar.
I was trying to figure out how to word it, but you did well with that.
But Bob, it does not. Can you zoom in on that?
No, I can't. I don't think we can do that.
Okay, well, you know, that does not look like Jack Daniels. And does that?
Well, it's not. He's drinking wine because he probably would have to pay at the bar if he had Jack Daniels.
Right. But does that violate his terms of contract of being a Jack Daniels squire? Are you allowed to drink other alcoholic beverages?
Oh, yes. If they do not have Jack Daniels, let's see, in the glass says Jack Daniels. If they do not have Jack Daniels, then I drink beer and wine, but I do not drink any other liquor. I don't, you know, they want me to drink Maker's Mark or Woodford's, and everybody has their own taste. Like you like to drink the water version, you know.
The water, purified water.
I was starting to say that next to him is Don Clark, the founder, president, and CEO of Grand Design RV, and we met Don when he only had a rendering of the first Solitude fifth wheel. Didn't have a building, didn't have a company, didn't have any employees, and here he is, 12 years later, one of the leading companies. And along the way, he sold the company to Winnebago for about $528 million. So he's done very well and stuck with it, and has done well with the Winnebago board.
Plus, he's a nice guy.
And he's a damn nice guy.
Yep. His son is a lot smarter than him.
Well,
but he's okay.
Yeah, Austin's an up and coming. But as we mentioned many times, how wonderful our fans are and how loyal they are. In the RV industry, it is an industry unlike any other that you or I or even Becky. If Becky called up Don Clark tomorrow and said, "Hey, I know John DePietro and he told me to call you," Don would take the telephone call. They answer their own phones. There's no egos about them, and that's what makes it so much fun for us to do a show like this.
Now, here's something very interesting. Oh, Maria's in Massachusetts. Okay. But Maria says she's currently traveling with a multi-sushi Shih Tzu, but with multiples. But we always had small dogs with us, usually 2 at a time. We're down to 1 now.
Well, that's how we were. We had 2 small Maltipoos, lost Arby, and then lost Wally. So the big conversation is, do we get another dog? We said we wouldn't, but we said, now.
No, you told me last week we've decided that's it with the dogs. Now are you changing?
Well,
it
hit us pretty hard, So
no more fracking, and now you want to frack.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I think you should sit around for a while.
Mark and Julie Bennett from RV Love, and they are basking in the limelight of their 10th anniversary. I see they've been doing a lot of blogs and a lot of articles, and well-deserved. And if you folks have not read one of their 2 books, Living the RV Life is outstanding, and RV Hacks, and Little Piece of Trivia. Now, who do you think introduced me to Mark and Julie Bennett?
Our guest tonight.
Huh?
Our guest.
No, our guest tonight, Sandy Ellington. I think maybe it was the other way around. But we'll ask her when she comes on.
Hold on. Before we bring on our guest, we need to tell.
I'm going to bring on 15. What?
Right. Rebecca wrote that we moved our dinner reservation to 5:30 in Naples once we heard you stars were doing a podcast at 7. Oh, so you already ate. Okay.
They went out early.
Okay. By any chance, they didn't go to Seed to Table, did they?
Huh? I don't know. Which restaurant did you go to, David?
Yeah. But here's another thing. The show is RVing in New England. Valerie Taylor writes, "Good to see y'all." And Mark and Julie Bennett write, "Howdy, y'all." So
we allow them to speak different languages.
Yeah, but to be politically correct, they should be saying, "Hi, you guys."
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Julie. I got hundreds of condolences. Wally was pretty popular. All right, let's cut out the small talk. We should bring up the star of the show for tonight.
She's there.
Huh? She's there. She's been there. She's been prepping her hair and having a snack and drinking a little wine on the side. I mean,
Have we been talking about her?
Yeah. She could hear everything. She heard every bad thing you said about her.
That's Sandy, right. I did.
Sandy, where are you at?
I am actually in our home base in Columbus. We took the summer off from traveling so that I'd have good internet while we launched the hub. So I am antsy to leave. I cannot wait for the Hershey show or open house or something to get here so I can leave.
Okay. Columbus, Georgia or Ohio?
Georgia.
Okay. Because up here, Columbus, Ohio is more popular than Columbus, Georgia. And if I wasn't such a Rand McNally travel guide,
you are. You know every road and every highway.
I wouldn't be able to tell the others that Columbus, Georgia is. And where's that near? Is it near Atlanta?
It's south of Atlanta. It's right on the Alabama border, close to Auburn University.
Oh, Auburn. So you
Yeah.
can't say Roll Tide.
We can, but very cautiously.
Yes, and very quietly.
That's right.
Quietly. I got to get me to a Southeast Conference football game this year, one of these years, either LSU or Clemson.
Oh, hey, John, guess what? Becky went to Notre Dame, and I made the mistake of, she was talking about the team and how great it was and how good the school was, and I made the fatal mistake, and I said, you ever know Coach Brian Kelly? And she says, don't ever talk about Brian Kelly.
Yeah, because he went for about 10 million more than he was making himself.
It was one of we were trying to decide, when I was talking the other day, we were trying to decide if he was the only coach at Notre Dame that ever left there before they booted somebody out.
Yeah, boo Brian Kelly, traitor. Yeah, I know. I mean, he's only been gone 2 years, right? 2 or 3 years.
Wow, it feels like longer than that.
But I got to get down to. We did get to Notre Dame for a game once, but Brian wasn't the coach then, so it was a long time ago. But Notre Dame, I'll tell you, folks, if you want to learn what RV, what do you call it, tailgating is, South Bend, Indiana is the place to go. I mean, I'm told, Becky, tell us, and Sandy, you might know as well, that they start showing up for Notre Dame games on Tuesday and Wednesday. And, in the typical Irish tradition, they might even have a beer during those prior weeks. But Sandy, Bob has told me about the hub, and in New England, Boston is known as the hub of the universe. Tell us what your hub is and why we should all be interested.
Well, the hub is the first online platform that allows all aspects of our industry and community to connect in real time. Okay. And it is a passion project of mine.
Okay. Now, I got to stop you because you're talking fast and you're talking Southern, and us Northerners have no idea what the hell you just said. So say it slower and accentuate each word, and don't say y'all.
Impossible. I cannot do that. Although, before I retired the first time, I had an office in New York City, and I had some problems with some CEOs who didn't want to look at me when I was talking to them. So I would go in and just tell them that I would walk in and I'd say, look, I'm a really good consultant, but I need to share something with you. I am up for a part on Broadway, and it's for a Southern girl, and I really need to stay into character because you don't know how hard this accent is to kind of really finesse. And literally for weeks when I first knew them, they would teach me how to speak Southern.
That's one way to break the glass ceiling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always find a workaround.
Oh, I know you do.
Oh boy, that's so funny. Sandy Ellison. Now Valerie Taylor. Who's Valerie? One of your associates?
Yes, Valerie works with me. We've worked together off and on with campgrounds and on park projects for years. And when I got really desperate in January of this year because things were getting hot and heavy, I called her and said, okay, either you're going to come and help me and work with me over the next 6 weeks, or the biggest dream of my life is going to fall flat of its face. And she said, okay, I'm there for you.
And along those same lines, Mark or Julie just wrote, I can understand her fine. Maybe it's just John that's a bit slow. But the fact is,
look at isn't that, the pot calling the kettle. Wait a minute, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Try Bob, understanding her Australian accent for a while. It took me 2 months to figure out how to listen to her. We had that dinner, the first dinner that we had.
Yeah.
If we put
to Petro, we got 8 people at the table for dinner. One is Sandy, and one is Julie.
Yeah, well, nobody else got to talk then.
Well, that's true. And then when they did talk, we had to stop and slow it down and try to, it's bad enough having one of them at the table and trying to figure out what they're saying. We had 2 of them that night.
And was one of them?
I think we closed the bar that night.
Did you have an interpreter there as well? Because I swear that if you put Julie Bennett and Sandy Ellingson on live with us right now, we would lose half of our audience because they wouldn't be able to understand. They would think their TV went wrong. But anyway,
yeah. All right. So
we ask you questions and then interrupt you.
I know.
That's okay.
We bring people on and then we beat them up. Who's the rest of your team here that's on the site? Do you want to tell us who they are?
Sure. Valerie is next to me, and her expertise is in making sure that everything gets done. Every I is dotted, every T is crossed. And then Joyce works with Lippert, and she was on several projects with me, and she's also doing, a couple of other crazy things, but she's been invaluable to me on some of the organizational type things. And of course I did, mention to Jason, hey, I may be stealing some advice from some of your people. So she came voluntarily and with a blessing. And then Davey Solomon is our chief financial officer, and Davey has done some amazing things in his career. Works with lots of venture capitalists. I think one of his claims to fame is that he and his friends started the very first all digital network for cell phones, which ultimately became PowerTel, which ultimately was sold to T-Mobile. And so he is one of the founders of the very first all digital cellular networks. And so we're super blessed to have him on board. And he is an RVer.
Okay. And just like right on command, Rebecca writes, well, how do we join the hub? Just happened to ask.
So it is still in its beta launch, so it's been by invitation only, although it is opened up as of today, so you can go and actually join. If you go to thehubforrvers.com, then there is a connect now. What I would recommend is that you wait until after Labor Day, because we haven't launched any of our specials and we don't have as many active participants in there as we will after Labor Day. So, but it is thehubforrvers.com. You can go check it out. It is literally, everybody that is involved in RVing in any way is welcome and invited to participate. So whether you work for a dealership, whether you work at one of the manufacturers, if you're an OEM, all of that is really important. That's what I call the industry side of things. And then there's the campground side, which is all of my multi-park owners, single park owners, mom and pops, which the campgrounds are really my passion. And one of the things that I found when I first started working in the industry was that those two groups of people, the industry said, we manufacture, we make a widget. And the campground industry said, we're hospitality. And they couldn't figure out why they should work together. And it was during a time where every challenge that we were facing, I would say, we can solve that in a campground. We can solve that in a campground. And so that's where it all started. And then it was not until May of this year that it was strongly suggested to me that we should include RVers. And initially I hesitated on that because this has been a work of love for myself, but I am not a millionaire. So I don't have, a lot of dollars sitting around and investors, that want to invest. Not that I even want to at this point, but bringing on the RVer is going to be, because I work in technology in the past, it's going to be at least a $2 million investment just in marketing. And so I was like, I don't think so. But there were so many people in the industry that really believed in this project. And they said, don't worry about that. Invite them in. We'll make sure they know about it. And so it really has become a full ecosystem. And there's 4 goals, 4 things we want to do. We want to connect everybody, facilitate communication, collaborate, and innovate. And so those things are so important, and it takes all of us to do that. So it's very strategic conversations, communications. If you just want to socialize, then you can stay in Facebook, and that's fine. If you want, to have general entertainment and learning, go YouTube. But if you want something where you're entertaining or connecting with people that have real substance, that have been vetted and know what's going on in our industry, and you want to make a difference, the hub is the place to come.
Okay. So, Sandy, it's basically, I hope I use the right terminology here. It's basically a LinkedIn for RVers, more so than Facebook and a YouTube.
It is. It's kind of like all of the social media platforms pulled into one, but with vetted individuals and vetted content. We are not vetting, obviously, the RVers that want to participate, but all of the vendors and companies that are in there, they actually go through a vetting process. All of my subject matter experts that are in there have to be vetted, have to be interviewed. I have to be able to put my stamp of approval on them. And so that's one of the things that I think is going to make the hub different.
Okay. So you might have to question her vetting of the people, of the subject matter experts, because I'm one of them. So,
well, I got some advice, and they said you need to let at least one oddball in, or you might bring yourself up for litigation. So,
one of the things I love about Sandy is she's got this tagline on her email. So if you've never received an email for her, let me just put it up. I love this thought. Explain how you came up with this one.
So I was challenged in my 20s to create a personal mission statement, and I'm a strategic thinker. And so when I try to define what I want to do, I want to make a difference with people who make a difference, doing things that make a difference. And those are three things I do with every relationship. I ask myself, can I make a difference in this relationship, in this consulting contract, whatever it is? If I say yes, I go to the next one and I say, are the people that I'm connecting with, do they want to make a difference? And if that passes the mustard, then I get to the last one, which is often the problem child, because doing things that make a difference. I am absolutely a change agent. I was in a meeting last week and I told people, they were like, these conversations you want us to have aren't easy. And I said, exactly. I'm here to make you uncomfortable. That's my job. I'm a change agent, and change makes you uncomfortable. So, but if, so much of the time in life, I spent a lot of time working with nonprofits, and every penny that they paid me, I had to feel like I was being accountable for. And so if I'm in there just taking money from them, when I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, they're not willing to do the things that are going to make a difference, that's on me. I am stealing from them in my mind. And so, I would much rather go to them and say, look, if you're not willing to do this, there may be other things you can do. This is my advice, but you need to go work with somebody else so that you're making a good investment of your money. So that's what I do. And it keeps me from wasting my time trying to do things where I can't be successful. And it saves a lot of people that are great people, right, that I love, but they like things the way they are, and that's okay. I'm not always right, but I know for me, once I get the scent of something, I don't give up. And that's this process has been a long time coming. People said it would never happen. I sat with the CEO a couple of weeks ago, one of the biggest companies in the industry, and he looked at me and he said, it will never happen. Now, he wasn't talking about the hub. He was actually talking about something else. And I just smiled and said, watch me, because I'm not giving up.
Yep.
All right. I want you to think of a couple of examples. And John, I want you to look at the comments. I'm going to pay our bills here and for 30 seconds or so. And then when we come back, I want some real live examples of what you've been able to connect and talk about that. And John, if you would check the comments to make sure we're not leaving any of our good friends behind.
Folks, we've got a big problem. There's absolutely no way we can match the savings of Seacoast RV during their blowout bonanza. I mean, look at these prices. They're crazy!
Don't miss out on Seacoast RV's blowout bonanza and your chance to get your family into the RV or towable of your dreams.
Wait a minute. Seacoast RV is taking your trade-ins and giving you top dollar?
And Seacoast RV wants your trade-in during their 2023 blowout bonanza. Trade in your RV towards a leftover 2023 model and receive up to an additional $5,000 on your trade value. That's right, up to $5,000 on your trade.
I mean, just look at these prices. How the heck am I supposed to match Seacoast RV's blowout bonanza? We can't do it!
Don't miss Seacoast RV's 2023 Blowout Bonanza. And don't forget to check the website for the RV of the Week. Seacoast RV, creating family fun on Route 1 in Saco.
Seacoast RV's blow-up bonanza savings are so crazy, it makes my head want to explode. Seacoast RV.
Always creative up there in Maine. You know, they
Yep.
get some brilliant minds up there and great dealership.
Yep.
All right, who wants to go first? You got some good comments first,
We
John?
have all the comments we've got taken care of there. We're good.
We're good. Okay.
We're good. But Sandy, when this is functioning the way you want it to, how many members, quote unquote, how much activity do you want to see? How many members do you want to have involved and active on a daily basis?
Well, so like I said initially, my passion is my campgrounds. So there's going to be about 8,000 campgrounds, and that I think are going to be key or instrumental in their participation, because they are a combination of seasonal and transient parks. In order for us to solve some of our industry challenges, those are the types of parks that we need to be working together with. So then we've got about 200 different companies that are interested in participating. That's not including our 50 subject matter experts. And those companies will come in and be involved. Now, the hub is a no commerce zone. So it is not a place to come. And if you are a business, join so that you can sell your product.
No pitches.
So that's right. But
Info exchange.
That's right. And so, but what I want some of these amazing companies that I've had the privilege of working with over the last 8 years to come in and share their knowledge, so they can come in, they can do webinars. All of this is using our platform, so they can come in and do webinars, do education. And in the process of doing that education, I believe they'll establish themselves as the experts in our industry that I've come to know them as. So then if somebody inside the hub then wants to work with them, they can make that connection. All connections inside the hub are what we call permissive. So your information is never shared with anybody until you reach out, whether you're a business member or whether you're an RVer. But there's 2 secret sauces to the hub that'll be happening once we get fully implemented, and it'll start slow and just like any network, I think. But once we get the energy up, which I believe will happen slowly over leading up to next camping season, on the industry side of things, our secret sauce is what we call opportunities. And so a company can go out and create what we call an opportunity. And so they can say, for instance, we have this happening right now. One company, it says, look, I would like to partner with certain parks to potentially carry some of my products. And so, and this would allow us to reduce the repair time. That's a big number everybody's watching right now. We want to reduce the time to repair, TTR. And so they can strategically work with parks to place some of these most commonly needed components, so that if a RVer breaks down, they don't have to wait and order that part from somewhere, because we know strategically where they need to be. And they can say, hey, you can go to this campground. They have the part, you can pick it up there. And they can say that either to the RVer or to a mobile tech or to a dealership if they run out. And so the parks then get to generate ancillary income. And the people that make the parks have distribution locations all across the U.S. in the most common areas, right where RVers are already at.
Okay, so
that's
basically it's B2C as well as B2B.
That's absolutely correct. Well, from a standpoint of the connection point. So once it gets to the point where it starts, there's commerce involved. So like you come in, you create your opportunity, you work together, communicate, collaborate on how you're going to do it. It then moves outside the hub. And so you would be actually connecting with those companies. We're not facilitating the sale. We're not taking any money from it. I don't ever want anybody in the hub to think I recommend somebody. because I'm generating revenue from it.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, how that conflicted with your commerce signal. So
Nope.
you're gonna meet and greet and then get the
That's
hell
right.
out and do your business.
That's right. We have the way we're facilitating that is with what we call portals. You have to apply to be a portal, and in order to be a portal, you have to either be doing something new and innovative, or you have to be solving an industry problem, which is what that particular thing is. And so
Okay.
we get that, and then once you start connecting through that opportunity, if you're going outside the hub, then a message pops up and says, you're now leaving the hub. Anything you share with this person, you're sharing with one of our vetted partners that we trust, but we're not getting any of that information or revenue. We just want to make sure they know that this is their decision to connect and they're moving outside. Now, after that, all of the conversations go on independently. Once I've made the connection, whoever the business is and whoever the park is, they do what they want to do. They facilitate all of that on their own.
Now, Bob, Rebecca has a nice question here. I don't know if you can put that up so Sandy can see it.
Give me the time.
7:35. Now, based on the way that Sandy answers questions, this should just about take us to 8 o'clock. And we want to thank our sponsor, Seacoast RV. Sandy, go ahead. Give us the Cliff Notes version.
Okay, so it is a community and it is subscription based. And so you do join and you pay. There are multiple things where we show you what your ROI will be when you participate. And so but it is strategic conversations, not, hey, what did you do? What did you eat for supper tonight? Right? It is everything in there is strategic connection. So it really is, it's a safe zone for us to innovate and move our industry forward.
Okay, I got a question. I got an idea for you.
Okay.
You said the magic word. Remember when Groucho Marx had that magic word on his program that if the little bird came down? That's what I saw when you were talking, and I think you said the word campfire, and John and I have an affinity for campfires and putting the family around there, putting the kids around there, putting the dog in your lap and watching the flames.
That's right.
What if you created a segment or something on the site where you call it Meet Me at the Campfire, and it's a talk with an SME or a person that could, it's not necessarily a chat. It might be a one-time chat on one thing, but and you put that out to your group, everybody in the group every week. And, if I'm doing it and they just come on to answer questions, not to sell anything, not to push my television shows, nothing, but just be there for maybe you started for a half hour, an hour, and say, Bob Zagami is going to be here for an hour, and just bring in all those subject matter experts, bring in the companies, because the campground and the campfire is where the relationships are built. We all know that if anybody's going to have a good experience in the RV lifestyle, it's going to be because of the campground. Now we can argue that boondockers and people off the grid and outlanders, overlanders, don't go to campgrounds, and there's a generational shift there. But have something, put that in the back of your brain. Just say, meet me at the campfire.
That's exactly what's going to happen. There's two halves to the hub.
Does Mark like that idea?
Yes, he loves it.
All right.
And we're already incorporating it. We have the social half, which is the connection and communication. And then we have the education innovation half. And there are two major tools that we're using to facilitate all of that. Currently, the way we have our servers set up, we can handle probably up to 100,000 live streams at the same time. People can come in and they can launch their own webinar. And then when everybody participates and watches it, all that is being recorded. It then gets stored in a library so somebody can come back later. Depending on how much information you want to share in your profile. If somebody does want to create an opportunity and they're looking for people that are very specific demographic, our notifications go out to that demographic. We've got Scott Bayer, who's one of the top research people in our industry, who's going to be doing all kinds of amazing research just by, for instance, let's say Dave and Becky wanted to have a good idea about what type RV should they buy next round for their next set of renters. Well, then they could go out, create an opportunity, a group, a forum, potentially do a webinar and invite people to come, and then say, hey, next year, where are the places you want to go and what kind of units would you like for us to stock?
Who's doing the research?
So, Scott Baer is going to be doing all the research, but you can facilitate doing the research. Like Dave and Becky could create their own group where they can ask, hey, solo women campers, we need to learn from you, right? Or international travelers, right, that might be here or participating. We are going to be working in the future with 2 other countries, which I can't mention right now, and I almost did.
China and Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got some interesting things that are going to happen inside the hub. And
can the businesses, I think you said they could, but can they do a survey? If they can do a webinar, can they do a survey? So could Becky go on there and say, what are the top 5 locations, that you would go to if you rented an RV?
Yes. We have all kinds of survey tools, activity tools, things inside the hub, so you can actually use the tools inside the hub. Or if you want to use an external tool and you're not a subject matter expert, then you just send a specific email to one of our team members and they give you permission to do it, because we don't allow external links without it being approved unless you're a subject matter expert.
Becky, a subject matter expert.
So Valerie has an interesting comment, Bob. Why don't you put that up? 744.
740. Oh, right there.
Yeah. She says in 2 sentences what it takes Sandy 20 minutes to say.
Too bad Valerie wasn't here to read it, because if Sandy reads it, that goes to 4 minutes. Well, you read it. You read it for Sandy. How's that?
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
With a southern accent or northern accent?
Try the southern one.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. Okay, y'all. We accept overlanders, glampers, anyone interested in camping from the Dealers Association, campgrounds, RVers, vendors in the industry, as well as manufacturers. So I don't know what that was an answer to what question you popped out, but thank you, Valerie, for letting us know that you're not just looking at people that want to go to campgrounds. That's very important.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Big,
because look as this industry diversifies, and Zagami and I have been around this a long time, and Sandy has too. I mean, it used to be you started with a pop-up, or you started with a tent, then you went with a pop-up, then you went with a travel trailer, then you went with a gas model, then you went up to a diesel pusher, that type of thing. Throw that away. That model doesn't exist anymore. People are coming in and buying these overlander units that are 4-wheel drive and never want to see a campground.
They'll never go in the campground.
So consequently, your interest area, your area of interest is so diverse. Plus, if you're looking at suppliers, they might be component suppliers to manufacturers. Somebody who's making a pop-up is not going to be looking at the people that are looking at a solar project for the top of a 45-foot diesel.
Let me get in. This isn't a commercial, but I picked out 4 or 5 news items, which we're not going to get to tonight. I'm trying to find a way to put some news items in, but one of the ones I think is very important, that this week the RV Women's Alliance within the industry celebrated Women's Equality Day at RV Tech. That was Monday for that, and I know Valerie was associated with that. Sandy's active in that. It's a tremendous group. If you work in the RV industry in any capacity, you can be, the shipper, unloading cartons in the morning. If you're a female, you should be there. And they accept men. John and I were active with them very early on from the initial startup, and we were advisors and had a great time with them. And they don't need us, but there are several men who are part of it. But it's an absolutely incredible place for networking on that. So I just wanted to say, because I think that's where I first met Valerie. She was on some of the Zoom calls that we had. So I want to make sure we jump that in there too.
Yeah, that is an amazing organization. It's got so many really strong leaders in that organization, and they just do great things. So,
yeah. Any other? Well, I put that other slide up, Sandy. Did you talk about all of these components of it? Who makes? Because you didn't talk about dealerships and we were late to the party on that one, but we're going to help you out on that and get the dealers involved. If for no other reason, I hope you'll develop some rack cards or something, because even if we put rack cards in the dealerships on the service counters or in the customer lounges that talk about the hub and, explain to the dealer the benefit of that, and, associations such as NERVDR or Florida or Pennsylvania, with that coming up, we can penetrate that, but we want to make sure we get the dealers involved also.
Oh, absolutely. And it's kind of funny, my background is early childhood education. That's what my degree is in. So I am educated to wrangle up 3-year-olds. And what I learned is if you can wrangle 3-year-olds, you can actually work with programmers. So it was a great, easy transfer into technology. But what I love that I get to do at all the big shows, because I am in so many places hearing about the different challenges from different aspects, then I bring that to all of the young people that are now coming into the industry. So at almost every show, and sometimes I actually get invited in, I get a chance to work with some of our new salespeople. And this is, I kid you not, I was at a dealership. We wanted to go look at a rig. We got on the golf cart with this young lady, super smart. And I said, why don't you just show us some of the fifth wheels that you have? We are driving round and round, passing all these fifth wheels. And finally, I looked at her and I said, is there a reason you're not showing us these fifth wheels? And she said, can you tell me what a fifth wheel is? She had literally started her job and then been put out into pasture to work with all of us RVers and had no clue what a fifth wheel was. Well, of course, that was during COVID, and we were hiring like crazy, right? So I had a chance to just, spend some time on the golf cart with her and educate her on how to talk to an RVer. What's that RVer's language like? What do they mean when they say these things? And so it's been so fun. And now post-COVID, I get a chance to talk to young salespeople and talk to them about how do you treat someone when they come in and they're upside down in their rig because they paid way too much, for their rig during COVID. And now very few people buy the first rig exactly perfectly the first time, right? So now we're going to change. And so we've actually, another one of the things that was an innovator thing in the hub is we've created this little calculator that it lets you put in what they owe on their rig. And then it tells you based on the numbers, how much they're upside down. And then it helps to calculate and tell them if they were to put their rig on the rental market, how many times they have to rent it until they get it into a spot where they can trade it without being upside down again. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I share that tool with some of my sales guys, the new sales guys, and I tell them all the time. One of them said, "Oh, my dealership won't like it if I'm telling them to go rent their rig." And I said, they don't understand yet, but when you do that for that new camper who's bought the wrong thing the first time, and you help them stay in a place financially where they can trade that rig, and most of the time it's under 6 months. 6 months, get the rig they really want, not be upside down. You're going to be their dealer for life.
Well, I teach that to the dealers also from the standpoint that if they've got a couple that's looking to buy a motorhome, let's say they're thinking about buying a Class C, and budget-wise, it's just about on the line, and maybe they don't have the credit rating they should have. And I say to them, look, bring them down a notch to a different level and explain to them, if they don't buy the most luxurious one you want, because you're never going to rent it, but buy one that you can rent. And if you rent it twice a month, and rentals now are going for $1,600 a week, average. So
Yeah.
you do that for 4 or 5 months, you get the RV at no cost. You make all your payments for a year or so, and then
Right.
step up to another, and then go up the ladder and start going up. But don't bury yourself in debt. Very difficult for a sales rep to really understand the budget and advise them that they should buy the budget.
Right.
Sitting somebody down and having them sign a piece of paper that says you can finance this for 20 years is financial suicide. Besides the fact that you're going to be upside down for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Yeah. And so other things we do with the dealerships are we help facilitate connections to campgrounds where we do what we call maiden voyages. So once a month or twice a month, depending on what their sales are like, they host a maiden voyage to a campground. A lot of times it's in the middle of the week. It's predominantly for people that are local to that area that have just bought a unit. They take it, they have one of their people go out, they do all the walkthrough with them where they, help them understand how to do the hookup, show them again about their slides and all the buttons, because when you're picking up that new rig, you are so excited. It's like a hum in the back of your mind what they're saying to you that you need to do.
And you're not going to remember. You're not going to remember anything.
Right.
Exactly.
That's another sore spot for me, because they rush the PDI because they got a technician doing it or a service writer or somebody doing it.
Yep.
And I say to them, go out and hire back your customers. Your veteran customers have been camping for 20 or 30 years. Bring them in, give them X number of dollars, call them up and say, I got 2 PDIs on Saturday. Can you come in and do them? Let the customer do it. Before we end, because I know you and I will be talking a lot about the dealership campground. John, tell them quickly the story when we did the open forum at the Northeast Camping Association in the campground. We were going to talk about our relationships and tell them the dealer side, and then they started pounding on us. Tell us about that.
Well, we had a good couple hundred people in the room, and which makes your program more important than ever. But they said there's very little relationship between the manufacturer and the dealer, and no relationship at all between the dealer and the campground operator. Okay.
That's right.
And once that person has left the dealership, you're on your own. Okay. The problem existed at the campground if they hooked up something incorrectly because they weren't taught. Who gets the blame? The campground owner.
That's right.
And they were ripping at us. And in fact, I think Sherm Goldenberg
Sherm was on the panel.
Yep. On the panel, from RV Business. And we said, if the industry is like a 3-legged stool where you've got the manufacturer, the dealer, and the RVer, and the campground owner, so 4-legged stool.
Right.
You take away any one of those supports between the other, then the stool falls over, and it's no good for everyone. So your program effectively could bridge the gap on all of the, and I don't want to say misinformation, but the non-information. And in many cases, non-information is the same as misinformation.
Yes.
Because
we let
up an RV for the first time is not an easy task.
We weren't into this thing. It was supposed to be like an open round table. We'd answer any of their questions. When the first negative blast came, and for the next 2 hours, we just let them shoot the guns at us. Tell us everything you hate about dealers and RVs and what have you, and we answered all their things. But that has to be a continuing conversation, not one seminar every 3 years, and nobody remembers it. So we're looking forward to working with you on the hub. And
the fact, I think you'd agree that many manufacturers think that their only customer is the dealer.
Right.
And they totally eliminate the other side of the dealer, which is the user. And like Bob said, for these PDIs, the last thing you want to do is take a mechanic or somebody who doesn't even own one or operate one and tell them, this is for This is for gas. This is for propane. This is for electricity. This is for blue water, black water, gray water.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Thank you, David Greenberg. This is his first RVing in New England. I get a funny feeling it won't be his last. People, Julie and Mark, people don't know what they don't know. They think it's like buying a car, so don't understand the need to get educated before making such a big purchase.
Yep.
Absolutely. Valerie, this is just one of the problems we'll solve at the hub. Oh, yeah, there'll be others, that's for sure. And we have training in the hub for people that work in the industry.
Yeah.
They can use it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And what else you got there?
Oh, wait a minute. Rebecca.
Valerie liked my idea. Rack cards. Where's Rebecca?
Go to the last one.
Becky. No, we know her on a first name basis, John. We can call her Becky.
Okay. This was surprisingly fun. In other words,
what the hell are you expecting?
A crappy show?
What? Surprisingly fun. I told this was a fun, informal show, unscripted, and I'm glad you liked it, Becky.
You couldn't get more unscripted than us.
Yeah, good luck tomorrow. Talk Camping New Hampshire. Chuck Lundberg, where the hell have you been? Link shared. All right.
Rebecca, no comment. You can't get in trouble for what you don't say, but you can get in trouble for what you did say.
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.
We want to thank everybody for joining us and wish Sandy the best. Sandy, do you mind if we check in with you every few months on this?
I would love it if you did.
Yep. And we'll see you. Will you be in Hershey?
Yes, I'll be in Hershey. I'll be at the open house. I cannot wait to get back on the road.
Okay. Come on down to the RV Life booth where I know I'll be there for a period of time in Hershey.
Absolutely.
And, if you have any of your prospects and clients with you, bring them along. I've always got the microphone and camera ready to help out in any way we can.
He'll have his 8x10 glossies and his Sharpie ready. He loves to do autographs at the booth. All right, Sandy, thanks very much. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to play the closing one because we ran a little bit over. I'll make it up to Seacoast next week. All right?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank
See
you.
Guys.
Bye.
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.